used to believe our house was ordinary, nothing more than a quiet place in a calm neighborhood. From the outside, everything looked stable. My mother worked long hours and came home exhausted, always choosing peace over confrontation. Her husband filled the silence with his presence and his opinions. I did not love him, but I had no clear reason to fear him, at least not at first. One afternoon, during lunch, he announced that he had decided to install a camera in the hallway. He said it was for my protection. The world was no longer safe, he explained. You could never truly know your neighbors. He spoke with confidence, as if the decision had already been made. My mother nodded tiredly and agreed. I stayed silent, unsure why a tight feeling had formed in my chest. 2 days later, the camera appeared. It was not placed near the front door, not in the living room, but in the hallway that faced my bedroom directly. If my door was open, the camera could see inside. If it was closed, a small red light glowed beneath the door, steady and awake. I told myself I was imagining things, but the discomfort never left. I was 17, old enough to understand that something was wrong, young enough to be told I was overreacting. When I told my mother I did not feel comfortable, she said her husband meant well. She said the news was full of terrible stories. She said I should be grateful that someone cared enough to protect me. Soon, small details began to disturb me. My stepfather knew things he should not have known. He knew when I went to sleep, how long I stayed in my room, when I closed my door. He mentioned these things casually, as if they were meaningless observations. Once, he smiled and said the camera sometimes malfunctioned, that he checked the feed to make sure it worked properly. My heart stopped for a moment when he said that. I changed my habits. I started changing my clothes in the bathroom. I slept with my door locked. Before falling asleep, I counted the faint flashes of the red light in the hallway. My room no longer felt safe. The house itself felt heavy, as if it were watching me. One night, after hours of fear and hesitation, I stepped into the hallway and unplugged the camera. My hands were shaking. I did not feel brave, only desperate. Minutes later, my stepfather stood in front of me. His voice was low and controlled. He said my behavior was suspicious. He said this was how problems began. In that moment, everything became clear. The camera was never meant to protect me. It was meant to give him access to me. The next day, while my mother was at work, I came home to find the camera connected again, as if nothing had happened, as if my fear meant nothing. I did not argue. I did not cry. I packed a small bag with clothes, my phone, and a charger, and I left the house without looking back. I went next door and knocked on the neighbor's door. He was a quiet man who lived alone, someone people avoided because he kept to himself. When he opened the door, I spoke without preparation. I told him I was not safe in my own home. I told him I needed help. He did not doubt me. He did not ask many questions. He stepped aside, let me in, and closed the door gently behind me. He called the police and Child Protective Services. When the officers arrived, my words were not the only evidence. The neighbor showed them footage from his outdoor security camera. The recordings showed my stepfather adjusting the hallway camera, changing its angle, reconnecting it, often at times when no one else was supposed to be home. When confronted, my stepfather collapsed under the weight of his lies. His explanations contradicted each other. My mother cried, not because she thought I had lied, but because she had not seen what was happening. The camera was removed. A restraining order was issued. I moved in temporarily with my aunt. Healing took time. There were investigations, therapy sessions, long nights where safety felt like a distant idea. Slowly, I began to breathe again. Slowly, I learned that walls did not have to watch me. Months later, on a quiet Saturday morning, I saw the neighbor outside, mowing his lawn at exactly 9 o'clock, just as he always did. He looked up, gave me a small wave, and returned to his work. That was when I understood the truth. The most frightening thing had never been the silent neighbor. It was the home that was supposed to keep me safe.